Hello, fellow Rhodians. Can I say that? Actually, Rhodians are the Greedo race from Star Wars. But I don't mean it that way. You're on the road to 40. Fortians? Fortians? Rhodians? I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. I need a title for the people who watch this. I guess I don't. You're just people. I mean, not just people. You're wonderful people. But I thought it might be kind of fun to come up with something. The Rhodians. I think I like that. What do you think? This will be a brief night, I think, tonight. I know I've said this in the past, and I just want to touch on last night a little bit, too. I'm a very emotional person, and sometimes when I kind of feel like the Reverend Jesse Jackson or someone who, like, when they get going, they feel like really, you know, they're moved by their own words, I think, and their own feelings behind the words. So I apologize if I get a little weepy-eyed sometimes. That's just who I am. So, and I don't think you guys care. I mean, I'm not going to ever... I probably will never post a video of me just bawling and sobbing to the point where the snot's running down my face. You ever have that happen? It happens. Not for me. Anywho, yeah. So this is What If Wednesday. So I've been trying to think of how I want to phrase the what if this week. So I'm going to talk to you about something I heard on the radio today. I actually recorded it on my phone because I didn't want to forget it. But I always do that, and as long as I do that, I never have to refer back to it. I always have two sources of remembrance. Or memories of I don't know. I have the video, which is fresh in my mind, and it also reminds me of why I recorded the video. So today I was watching, or listening rather, to the Glenn Beck show. And for a while I was listening to him and I was like, he was making sense about something. Immigration, basically. The first part of it was very... The way he was phrasing it, he was leading it up to a punchline, kind of. Not, it wasn't a joke, but it was how he was phrasing it to get to his point. And I was all excited at first. I was like, wow, he's not so far off. He's not so crazy about this. But, like, I think there's a big misconception about how people from other, you know, places get here. It's not all... I don't know how to say this. It's not all just people from Mexico coming over the border to become, you know, illegal immigrants. It's a lot of people from South America. I met a woman. She wrote a book. Let me find her name. It's Sonia something. Begins with an M. Enrique's Journey. We were fortunate enough to have her come to the store and do a book signing once, and so it was nice to listen to her and hear her stories, and it's very dramatic, and I'm sure, you know, a lot of it, that's her point. Wait, let me get her name. No, it's an N. Sonia Nazario. She came to Gibbons' book. She did a signing, and she was it was really nice to meet her, and it's very interesting because I don't want to use the person's name because I could get in trouble. So the person who had her there, it was actually quite surprising that she had her there because she's a Tea Party, well, I think she's a Tea Party member. I'm not going to say anything else about it because, I mean, I don't want to bring negativity upon myself, on her, or any of her family or anything like that. So let me start it by saying that. But what she did is she traveled... let me see if I can find the actual location she traveled from. It is hot here in Lynchburg tonight. It was in like the 90s. We had some rain here today that was astronomically epic in proportions. I was actually filling out some gift certificates for someone who was buying them at work. And I looked up for a moment because I heard the rain starting and it was loud and big, and I looked past him and I said, oh my God, look at that. And I looked out, literally like 2 seconds earlier I had looked beyond him to the field. There's a green field across from my work and there was cars in the parking lot and I could see them. And when the rain hit, it came so, the only way I can describe it is thick, that it was like a whiteout of rain. I couldn't see the cars in the parking lot. I couldn't see the hill on the other side. Everything was white. No green, no cars. It was amazing. and I just wish I hadn't been working at the time. Actually, I got a little scared, to be completely honest, because it was so powerful and the wind was so strong. I mean, it was almost coming down sideways, and I thought it was a hurricane or a derecho or a tornado, or thought something was going to hit us. And I started looking around like, where should we go if all of a sudden the building starts shaking from the wind or something? And I honestly don't know what the best theory is like during a tornado. I think you're supposed to go to the basement, man. But we don't have a basement, so I thought maybe the back room, because there's a lot of heavy walls. I mean, it's an old warehouse that he converted into a beautiful building, very beautiful inside. And I hope that I used to work at Jordan's Furniture, and if any of you are from New England, you know what I'm talking about. There's a store, not Natick. Yeah, it is Natick. It's not Nashua. Excuse me. It's not the Nashua store. That's in New Hampshire. That's an older store. The Natick store is just, it's ridiculous. If you want to know where, I didn't work at this store. I worked at the Avon one, which is still pretty crazy. But take a look at Jordan's, I think it's just Jordans.com. It might be jordansfurniture.com. And what they did with that building, it's basically like walking down Bourbon Street. They hit you, I've told you this before, they hit you with the beads when you walk through the door, and there's people, the music's going, and you've got, literally, it's like Bourbon Street you're walking down. And every little building you go into is a different department. I mean, now this isn't a small store. This is probably, I don't know for a fact, but this is probably the largest, you know, retail, non-discount, non-warehouse furniture store on the East Coast. It's huge, and these rooms and buildings I'm talking about are pretty much buildings. Like, you walk into the office area, and they've just got, you know, 30, 40 leather sofas around with these, you know, 40-foot ceilings with, you know, painted walls to look like a library, and you get fireplace and so on. It's just amazing. I'd love to have a room like that in my own house. How did I get to that point? So that's where I work. I work at Jordan's. No, I used to work at Jordan's Furniture. Now I work at Gibbons Books. And he's like on the cusp of, I always try to push him over the edge. Like, he's right at the cusp of greatness. Like, his store is amazing, but if he took that investment, and he's in a rough shop position right now, he couldn't do it, but if he could take that leap of faith and invest like $1 million into the business, like, and do something like Jordan's Furniture did in Natick, it would do for, I think, bookstores here in the Mid-Atlantic like it did for furniture stores in New England. And I think you'd see huge expansion of our store. I think you'd see another store open up within a year or two. I just, you know, sometimes in life, I mean, there's rational people and there's dreamers, and he's like right on the border of both. Like, I think if he just took that leap, he could make something quite epic. And right now it's beautiful, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing store, and it's like nothing else here in Lynchburg, and nothing within the surrounding areas. It's I mean, he's got, just go online, gibbonsbooks.com. I did the website for him, so you can see what I did there. And so, well, we had Sonia Nazario come in, and she told her stories about coming up from South America and the children that would get on trains. And I mean, they're risking their lives to come here. A lot of people just see it as them wanting to have a better life here. Oh, that damn dog. And it's not just that. I mean, things have to be so bad for them that they would risk their lives riding these trains north. I mean, they get mugged, they get beat up, they get killed. Sometimes, if families won't, and even if they do pay, people will kidnap these children and send letters to their families in the United States and say, if you don't send us $3,000 to $5,000, that's the average, we're going to kill your kid. And sometimes they get a check, and sometimes they still kill the kids. And they have chemical baths that they stuff these people, these children, into barrels that dissolves everything. There's no remains, no bones, no nothing. It eats everything. I don't know what it is that they use, but there's no proof of, you know, who they were or that they ever existed. So it's not just, you know, people, I don't want to say the wrong thing and make people sound bad here. It's not just border jumpers from Mexico wanting to come to the United States for whatever reason, whether it's to get a job or, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that you know, and I believe in a legal form of immigration. I really do. I don't think we should just open up our borders and just let people in. I think you should have to go through a process. I don't care if you're coming from Canada. I don't care if you come from Mexico, South America, Europe, Asia. You know, I think there are channels to go through. Oh, this is what Glenn Beck was saying. He said we need to have a better visa system. But he was referring to people from like India, technical people who can improve the quality of work here in the United States. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't see the flip side of that being bad either, and having common workers having visas extended until they become, you know, citizens of the United States. This is going a long way around to get to my point here. After he said that the left, well, he considers what the left calls extreme right is the common sense center, based on the morals, the visions, the values of our founding fathers and generations before us. Now, I will say this. I agree that 200, 300, 400 years ago that made sense. When we came here, we were the people we were when we got here. We immigrated here. We stole the land, but I'm not completely against how we took our land, because the Native Americans were doing the same thing to themselves. If they wanted hunting areas, they fought and they took the land. So what we did is no different than they were doing. However, they were probably far more peaceful people before we came here than after we came here. But that being said, that's not my point. The United States has obviously changed. People's views, values, and morals have changed over the last 300 or 400 years. We're not the same people. We don't rely on the same morals. We don't have the same values that we had then. Sure, some of them have gone downhill, but a lot of them changed. I mean, look at all the things that have improved through history. I mean, slavery was abolished. No matter what side is responsible for abolishing slavery, that is not my point. We've come a long way, but we were built on a society whose morals allowed slavery here in the United States. So, should we still have that, Mr. Beck? I'm saying that, like, things change. You know, right now, you could say that you're against slavery. However, your Bible says differently. It really does if you look at the Old Testament. And this isn't just shit I'm spewing forth. Like, read your Old Testament, you know. As long as you didn't poke your slaves' eyes out, I believe is the actual, you know, phrase. Their teeth or eyes. If you didn't damage their teeth or eyes, you could have slaves. It was encouraged to have slaves. And that was the only if about it. Just don't mess up their teeth or eyes. So, if we still believed in that, based on biblical beliefs, then, and we still believed in traditional marriage and not the furtherment of marriage, or if we still believed that women were the property of the man and that the man is the head of the household and that's final and so on and so forth. If your wife speaks out, you can beat her. You know, if your child talks back to you, you can kill them by stoning them. You know, if these are the morals that he's referring to, then it's a good thing we've evolved and that we've changed and we've come such a long way. And I only see it progressing. That's why progressivism and isn't a bad thing in my eyes. I think, you know, somebody actually explained it to me in another video down below in the comments, so I'm not going to quote it exactly, but we need to progress. We need to evolve. We need to move forward. We need to change. We need to adapt our morals and our visions and our, you know, all of these things have to move forward. We can't sit on the things that we were comfortable with 300 or 400 years ago and expect people to be okay with it. Things will change. Things are going to change. It takes time, and sometimes it takes fighting, and I don't agree with that. I don't want to fight to change things for the betterment of people. But what he calls common sense center, I definitely consider extreme right. And if he considers that common sense center, what does he consider extreme right? Because I don't think that even exists anymore. I would say extreme right is, you know, the KKK. I would say, based on his values. On my values, the extreme right is him. Or not necessarily him, but the Tea Party and their way of thinking. So my point is that We have to evolve as a nation. We have to accept that people are going to love who they're going to love. We have to accept that drugs in this country aren't being treated properly. We need to stop criminalizing everything and putting people in jail for something that shouldn't be illegal in the first place. I've talked about this before. Like, obviously marijuana, I believe, should be legal across the board. Recreational, medicinal, absolutely. It's absolutely asinine and insane that we're not experimenting with this to learn what we can do with it. I mean, just for paper products, instead of using paper, you know, using hemp, all these things need to be implemented. That is firm, and that's stuff that I hope over the next 10 or 20 years we will start to see implemented. We'll stop cutting down, clear-cutting forests for, you know, lumber and rope and for paper, and we'll stop doing that. We'll convert to using hemp again, because that just makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world, and it's just because rich sons of bitches are still making money, and they will do everything in their power and spend millions and millions of dollars every year to block these new laws so that we won't realize that we're being screwed over. And that's sad, because like the common man, and I'm not saying that people are stupid, but the common folk who live their lives and they don't really question authority. They don't question reality. They don't question all the things that are going on around them. They just accept them and they live their lives because A, they're able to pay their bills, B, they're able to go out to eat once or twice a month, they're able to buy a new pair of sneakers, you know, for their kids when school starts every year. And if you're doing that and you're doing fine, then you have no reason to stir the pot. But stirring the pot is what gets shit done. Like, and it needs to get shit done. I definitely consider myself an independent. There are some things on the right and some things on the left that I agree with. But generally, obviously, I lean left. Yeah, so that's my point about that. I just think that there comes a time, and things will change. I do believe they will change, unless something god-awful happens and we turn into a complete police state where nothing can happen unless we literally rise up and fight against the military and the government and so on and so forth. And I hope it never comes to that. Like, I don't want to see the death of hundreds of thousands of people to achieve peace. Like, war is not worth the cost if it, you know, to achieve peace. War is not worth it. Like, there's always a better way, in my opinion. And I'm for a small government. I really am. I don't think we need more taxes. I think we need a flat tax. I think that the rich need to be taxed more. All right, let's say, you know, the percent of a person who makes $100,000 a year, what they're being taxed is a percentage of their pay. Let's say it's, you know, 28%. Let's say it's 30% to make it a nice round number. So that's $30,000. So as you scale that up, I believe the percentage has got to go up to even it out a little bit. Because $30,000 off of $100,000 to a person is painful. It hurts. It's you know, a huge chunk of your salary. But 30% at $1 billion, you know, you see what I'm saying? Like, you know, is that 300 million? It's a lot of money, but you're still walking away with $700 million. And I think you should have that. But all right, let's not do that. Let's leave the percentage the same across the board, and let's lower the percentage greatly for age groups. Let's lower it for groups of people who aren't making as much, who are struggling to get by. I had the worst news today. Like, this week has been going so good for me, and like financially, I was like, man, we're finally doing pretty good this week. Then I realized why. I got a letter in the mail. Apparently, my bank switched from Stellar One over to Union First Market Bank, and the routing number changed. So I paid all my bills. Everything went through, I think. I'm gonna have to go back and look now. If not, I'm really screwed, like bullet in the head screwed. I don't mean that. But our biggest bill didn't go through, and we just found out about it now. Now we're in a position where I can't pay that right now. It's gonna be Friday till I can pay it, and they want their money. And like, I understand that. That's fine, but My son's birthday is on the 22nd. We haven't gotten his cake or decorations. We've got most of his presents, which is fine. I have my friend Pete coming to visit, who I haven't seen since I got married or hung out with in probably about 15 years, the following weekend, or the weekend that Grayson's birthday is. And, like, now it's like, what am I going to do? I either pay my electric bill so I can have electricity, or we celebrate the birthday and I get to do a few things with my friend. And Pete, if you're watching this, this doesn't mean I don't want you to come. You will get your ass down here to Virginia no matter what. If we sit around the fire pit and have drinks and chat about old times, that's the most important thing to me. Like, I would love us to be able to do some stuff, but, you know, I think both of us agree that we just want to catch up and hang out and talk, and that's the most important thing. So, but I'm just saying, in general, if this hadn't happened, like, it wouldn't have been as hard. I really felt like I was getting ahead, and it hurts to know that you're not. And our electric bill is just ridiculous in this house. It's just so stupid. But we can't get them to come out to do an investigation, and I know that something's going on, because we shouldn't be paying every month for the last 10 years what we've been paying every month. But what are you going to do? That's life, and it sucks sometimes. So, yeah, there's my, this should have been my Tuesday, you suck. So this is for last night. What if Wednesday? What I wanted to do was something along the lines of, what if everything was free and everyone was rational? So let me wrap this one up by saying that, you know, crap happens, but I just see a brighter tomorrow. Even if it's not for me, it's for my kids and my grandkids. Well, I don't have any yet, knock on wood. But yeah, that's my point. So if you guys are really enjoying these, then please subscribe and pass them along to anybody else who might like them, that you know, a friend, a family member, co-worker. And like I say all the time, you know, make something a little bit better of yourself. Make somebody smile tomorrow, whether it's a family member, a co-worker, a friend. And let's try to make the world spin a little happier together so that I can stop complaining. You guys have a great night, and I will catch you next time on the road to 40. Bitches.